you showed something that in this same lecture that showed itself, revealed itself of with that stag, with that headdress.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man, seeing that, what did that just represent in Miles? Not only that, right? How do we know what to look for? Because I saw that knowing, yo, that's that stag that he was just talking about. And like sometimes if we go inside of like the Smithsonian museums, you would just think, oh, that's a slave or oh, that's an African, not knowing, check out what they're wearing, look at the gold, the headdress, all of those things. So how do we know what to find, what to look for?
Okay, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that tripped me out, bro.
yeah,
When I
yeah.
saw that, and I read it in this book.
Wow.
I read it in this book about what the Natchez do
Mm,
to their slaves. Like the
mm,
women have their slaves perform like feminine tasks.
mm,
I read that in this book. And
mm.
then I go to this book and I see a woman having her slaves
In real action.
perform a real
Wow.
action, dog.
Wow.
And she just so happened I went to
Mm,
so this is all cross referencing, right?
mm-hmm.
I went to the let me who was that? Because it was a school, the Institute of Chicago or something like that, that
Mm-hmm.
had the field study review of all
Wow.
the different items that got excavated out of the mounds.
Mm-hmm.
And just so happened the same staghorn that
Mm.
she wearing on her head in 1720 is hundreds of thousands of years old being excavated out of the mounds. The same one. Like it literally looked
Wow.
the same. Like that's crazy. So that just tell me that's the Indian that my people was
Mm,
talking about. You know
mm.
what I'm saying? Like that's literally who the Indian is. Because yeah, man, that was a
Yeah.
trip, bro. That was a
Yeah.
trip. That's crazy. And I think that need to be like highlighted. That need to be
Mm-hmm.
like really discussed
Mm,
like by all the scholars in the community.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of scholars in the community, you know what I'm saying, that really hate the idea of us being from here.
Mm.
But when you just look at the real true facts, it's like we was here and we was here in like a real big way.
Yes,
Like we
sir.
wasn't TP'd up. We
Mm.
wasn't out here like in no teepees in the Great Plains. That wasn't us. That's like Buffalo Bill. That's who the US government decided to create because the Smithsonian that was created around this time period,
Yep.
they already was like, yo,
Mm.
they got ancient Hebrew in these mounds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? It's all different mounds that got ancient, the oldest Hebrew that they ever found. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? So that they setting up these institutions and now they gotta set up education systems
That's
too
right.
to kind of
That's
get you
right.
away from this information.
That's right.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So if you just look at, the creation of Buffalo Bill, or you look at the
Mm.
all of that artificial or like fabricated history of the Native Americans. Like I'm
Mm.
not taking away nothing from Native Americans. They
Yeah.
migrated over here, they chilled,
Mm-hmm.
and they did they nomadic thing,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't build none of the great cities that was over here, the
Mm.
monumental structures that was over here, the religion, all that stuff that's here in the mounds. That tobacco relationship, trade, commerce
Mm.
relationship was not the Native Americans. That was the
Mm.
Mississippians, black people that look like me and you. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So yeah, bro,
Yeah.
that's the confusion that we gotta kind of clear up, man.
Yes. We trying to clear that up right now, man, today. So with those mounds, man, here in Georgia growing up, we got Dahlonega, Georgia, which is known for having mounds, all the gold, ancient gold, things of that sort, right? We
Uh,
had like our own little like gold rush in North Georgia. Our
uh,
families growing up, you would hear stories about us being true to this land, native to this land, right? And also we
yeah.
have mounds everywhere. So here in Atlanta, right? All the people that's from Atlanta been to Atlanta, you would know about 285, 285 West, not North, rather. If you take 285 West, there is this big mound that is on the Chattahoochee River, which
Uh,
splits up downtown Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Bro, this Miles, when I tell you it is massive, it's huge and it's layered, and it's like literally placed right on top of the river itself, which shows that these ancient people were spiritual, they were very advanced, and this mound is very, very big, right? But
Hmm.
every single day, man, when I just drive past it, I'm like, we have so much history with when it comes to Mississippian culture that we just look past and is right in front of us. And now they use it for like waste management. So
Oh,
a very ancient mound has waste management on top of it that's
oh,
literally positioned right on top of the Chattahoochee River, which was a major river for all indigenous people, right? So
right, right.
how do we try to actually get back in touch with this history that is it's like literally right beneath us that we're walking over it every single day, we're driving past it every single day, and all they do is just tell you, oh, it's a hill or it's just this, but we have ancient pyramids right in front of us that we aren't even tapping back into. So how do we
Yeah.
try to tap back into this great information?
I feel like really it need to be like a hearing, you know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like a hearing of the scholars,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because there are certain scholars that perpetuate or
Mm,
push
yeah.
narratives in
Yeah.
our community.
Mm,
And it's not hard, like, bro, I got so much like I it's so much information, like
mm,
real books that was written in the 1800s that
mm,
explicitly explain who we are. All the people need to know is that it exists.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? We haven't had the opportunity to analyze it
mm,
and look at it and have anybody really acknowledge it. You know
mm,
what I'm saying? You hear people like, I don't want to, I'm not bashing the brother, but
mm.
like, you know, I heard the brother Umar Johnson say like the
Mm.
word pretending. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And you get different type of vocabulary that gets circulated like that that kind of just discredit the idea of us being here before we even look into it.
Mm,
So it's like really we need to have a hearing about this.
mm,
Like whoever is out there talking about they we from Egypt or we should be like the Moors or we should
mm,
be like any of those different civilizations or Timbuktu or whatever, like
mhm,
we should not be looking to any of that and saying that that's our history.
mm,
You know, it's not our history. We're
mm,
not nowhere near from over there. You
mm,
know, so really everybody need to get come to the table and discuss this guy and how this differs from everything that we've been taught. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
Because we actually have an oral tradition prior to knowing this that states that we're from here.
Right.
So if you have this that is backing that claim up, that's an oral tradition that we just kind of been told, you know what I'm saying? We should go
Mhm.
investigate that like thoroughly.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? I think that not any of us really know the history of these two particular kings. You know,
Yeah.
we know the kings that lived in the dark ages or the middle ages that was in Europe, you know, Queen
Yeah.
Elizabeth, you know,
Yeah.
King Henry, you know, all these
Yeah.
different
We know
people.
all of that. Yeah.
Will Tariq or whoever,
Yep.
you know, from the 1492, but you don't
Mm-hmm.
know the kings that was in Florida or the kings that was in Virginia or the kings that was in Alabama
Mm.
or you know what I'm saying? Or yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we need to know that information. You know what I'm saying?
Excellent point. And all my folks that's here in the South is actually, I think, 285 North. But man, y'all check that out right by the Chattahoochee River, massive mound. But on that same standpoint, right, we'll know about General Tariq, all of those people. My guy, Dr. Kaba Kamene, man, he said this in his old lectures, and he'll tell you this in person too. He'll tell you about Africa. He can go on about ancient Kemet for days, but also he's like, yo, we had the same history in the ancient Americas. And Dr. Kaba, he would break down how we have more pyramids in the Americas up the Mississippi River opposed to in ancient Africa, ancient Kemet. We talk about the Nile River all the time, Miles, right? Everybody talks about the Nile, how Nile Valley civilization, but we also have Mississippi Valley civilization as well.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
was going on along the entirety of the Mississippi River that was so major that even Europeans use it till this day for commerce as well?
Yeah, so that's what happened, man. They figured out that we was using that for trade and
Mm,
commerce. You know, that was the most effective way to transport, goods and services or whatever it may be. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like it, like just like you say right now to this day,
mm,
the Mississippi River is moving items.
mm,
It's making good. It's a avenue for goods and services. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? We need that in order for trade and commerce to even be going down here. You
mm,
know, so back in those times, we were setting up our villages are ceremonial sites
mm,
along these rivers. You know what I
mm,
mean? It just so happens that it's providing us all the different resources that we need, the different type of soil that we need, the different type of agriculture, the environment, the weather, you know, and it's allowing us to just move freely and
mhm,
transport things north and south and east and west.
mhm,
So that's pretty big, you know. And because when you look at the early explorers, if you look at like the um, DeSoto, you know, DeSoto was the first one to the first European to actually see the and sail on the Mississippi River.
wow,
And then you had all these different uh explorers that come later on, like Cartier
mm,
and you know, we were at Cartier, you were at
yep,
Cartier watch, you
that's
just say his
crazy.
name, you don't even
Yeah,
know where
wow,
he what he did. You know what I'm
yep,
saying? But
yep,
they over here trying to take up rivers and bays and all
wow,
these different things that we just take for granted now.
mm,
And we looking at
ain't that
Africa be
crazy?
like, yeah, it's crazy, bro. We got
Yes,
the Great Lakes here. We got the
yes,
Gulf of
yes,
Mexico. We got the
yeah,
Appalachian Mounds. We got all these different crazy resources.
mm,
And we just look at it like it ain't ours. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? So yeah, back to the question is like that's what they was taking advantage of that. All of our people was here living off the land,
mm,
producing great structures, had, you know, culture and family and all those different things.
yeah, our
And
people, the ancient Mississippians, they built so many mounds, so many pyramids, if you will, right? What was the overall purpose of these mounds? Because you know, right now you'll have shows like Ancient Aliens where they'll try to justify, oh, the only way that they built these things was from aliens coming down here. But what was the overall purpose of building all of these ancient mounds?
well, it seemed like it was a real like traditional thing, but then the Mississippians were highly involved in architecture
Mm,
and geography
mm-hmm,
and cosmology.
mm-hmm.
So, you know, you can't just build, you know, masonry style buildings with no
That's right.
mathematical
That's right.
knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, no knowledge of geometry, no knowledge
Yep.
of how to work a stone, or no knowledge how to set a stone level and have it, you know, align with stars and constellations, you know. So it was, to what I can see, pretty you know, spiritual based.
Mm-hmm.
And not just spiritual based, but it had an engineering aspect to it as
Yeah.
well, where, you know, the engineering, the science of it was also revered on a high level.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Because the same people that are laying out these cities
Yeah.
and laying out these different monuments that are lasting for just thousands of years are
Mm,
also calculating the movements of the stars and creating calendars. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, the mounds, they have different ones where it's like you got platform mounds
Mm,
where you have your king resides on the platform mound, or you have a effigy mound and it's shaped like a bird. You know
wow.
what I'm saying? These different animal effigy mounds, or you have like rotunda mounds
Mm,
where it's a burial mound
mm,
where you actually go in there and it's a like a ceiling like this.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? They got different ancestors in here or whatever. So they was utilizing them for different purposes.
yeah,
Um, but there was like I would say for sure spiritual, and it was for sure like a scientific type of thing. You know, knowledge on building and masonry and having these just magnificent structures around here.
for sure. Miles, and all the stuff that you sent me, man, I was reading it over and over and over again, just truly fascinated. And one particular part was seeing how one chief, one king, during those times, a few hundred years ago, if you really think about it, which is like crazy to say, was able to build a very large structure that could fit up to, I think, around 1,000 to 2,000 people in there, right? And right now we talk about the Roman Colosseum and all this stuff is so cool, but our people, man, we're building things that could seat basically a stadium right now today. Why do you think our people were just so advanced when it came to architecture? Do you think that it was something that was pushed on us culturally? Like everything has to be advanced, especially when it comes to things like architecture, building mounds, all of those things.
Well, I think that we had a lot of time to be
Mm,
over here like by ourselves,
mm,
and we was like really not bothered
wow.
until the fall of Spain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for
Mm,
thousands of years, like 10,000 BC, you know what I'm saying, up
mm,
until AD
mm.
1492 or
It's a
1500,
very
we
long
was
time.
over here like building with each other. We was
Yeah.
going down to Mexico, building with
Mm,
them, going down to Peru and South America,
mm,
building with them, you
mm,
know, trading information,
mm.
trading religious information,
Yeah.
having culture. So we really was like really into that because
Yeah.
masonry, if we look at the history of masonry or we do the research on that and what the origins are, stone building is doesn't originate in the east. You know
Whew.
what I'm saying? It
Wow.
originates in the west.
Wow.
So if you
Wow.
just look at all these people laying bricks or laying stones in Egypt,
Wow.
you know, you got to understand that that school of thought went over there. It didn't
Mm,
start there.
wow.
You know what I'm saying? That school of thought was already being practiced in South America, Central America, and North America for thousands of years.
Mm,
And it made its way over there.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So even that we gotta look at it like that too, you know.
Yeah.
We just was like heavily advanced in um yeah, masonry, man. Masonry, that's another thing. Just like tobacco is a avenue into learning who we really are. The
Mm-hmm.
history of masonry, stone building, building stone buildings is will lead you right back to Negroes in North America.
Mm,
You know
wow.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's just a heavy thing though that we need to kind of examine.